Boom! Jroad here with Days of Future Past. Oh my god! Was this movie intense? Yes. Interesting? Yes. The best X-Men movie? Mm, but it does fix a few problems, which I am grateful for. It explains a lot and has some wonderful opportunities for theories. Um, the the thing that I love most is it totally writes over X3 and Origins. Just like those don't exist anymore. Okay, Scott's back, Jean's back, Professor X is back. I mean, in X3, that you thought that was gonna be the final movie. Oh, it wasn't. And they even mentioned like, okay, so they had Quicksilver, and I love Quicksilver, which I'm kind of curious as to how they're gonna handle this. And I think next con I might cosplay as Quicksilver, but freaking A, like from this movie, because I could totally pull it off for one, and B, I totally wanted to pull it off. So he's snarky, he's sarcastic, and he's so enjoyable. That I was a little weary. A lot of people gave this movie bad reviews. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not necessarily a great movie, but it does have a lot of interesting points. And it had a Star Trek bit, and I thought it was kind of funny, like that they had this little Star Trek bit in there. But they also had I kind of was joking with myself in my head because Patrick Stewart seems to have met his alternate past self like multiple times now. It's just kind of a funny little thing. And then they had a weird freaking rush hour joke where freaking Quicksilver's like, "Do you know karate?" And Magneto's like, "But I know crazy." And I don't know why. It was just kind of funny to have it in there. Oh, and speaking of Magneto and Quicksilver, so those of you in the know, and those of you aren't, spoiler alert, Magneto is Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's father. Now, to hold off on that revelation, freaking A, was it great, because, it just, I don't know how to say. It's really funny. Because Quicksilver says to Magneto, "Oh, you can move metal through mind? My mom used to know a guy who could do that." And he just looks at him. Now, my one problem with that is the age thing. Is Magneto supposedly in his 30s to be having a kid when who was in his 15 at the I don't know what age they're supposed to be going with. He seems to be 16, 17, but that's up for debate. The Sentinels, freaking marvelous. Like, freaky as shit, horrifyingly awesome, and yeah. And what's really sad about this movie is you see them die, and then you see them come back, and Wolverine was the only one who gets to remember. For once, it's Wolverine who gets to remember, so that's a plus. But totally trippy. Was not sure how I felt about Stryker. Definitely going to be a little bit weary on that front. Ah, friggin' A. I'm excited. It was the overall of the X-Men movie. It's definitely not the worst. I wouldn't say it's the greatest, but it's not the worst of them. It has its moments. It has its dull moments. It is rather an interesting concept, especially with the future past. Now, I know a lot of people are big haters of alternate timelines because this just gives up all the continuity and opens the door for the multiverse, and oh, well, that will ruin up everything in the future. No, shut up. Alternate timelines are cool. Why? Because you can get away with anything in them. Also, I definitely like the way they build up. Trask isn't like this genuinely evil character. He's just a guy trying to do the right thing. you slowly develop to hate him because he's doing such a the wrong thing, but he's, interesting. And Peter Dinklage, though, has to have some of the best acting skills I've ever seen. Like, he can play Trask and he can freaking play Mystique playing Trask, which bends my mind. Like, what when when Mystique Peter Dinklage is crying, like you see Peter Dinklage crying, and he's holding it together. But I've been a thespian a few times or two. I've worked some stages back in my glory days. Thought I was gonna be a theater major at one point. Scrapped that idea, but I get it. Like, some characters you really have to get into, and you have to think like they would. And he had to think, I am this character. Now, what would this person pretending to be this character be like after seeing these revelations? It's really a trip. I think that's something that really stuck with me because Peter Dinklage always has an amazing performance. He's definitely a really good actor. Now, some of the other things that really got me, I have to say, probably the fact that Nixon, like, this movie was very politically influenced and, yes, it does have a lot of generic, um, movie, you fear what you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. But this one had a little bit of a twist on it, and you should fear us, because we are your execution. These men tried to, like, Magneto's speech was just baller. Like, I've never been gripped by the balls as hard as I had. Well, other than the Mr. Miyagi scene. Like, no scene, I think, has ever had my full attention more than Magneto's speech right then. I also love, like, they play up Mystique, and this whole movie basically centers around Mystique, which I find great. And I know y'all motherfuckers think I'm a pervert, but I ship the fuck out of Mystique and Charles, because their baby would be glorious. And if you disagree with me, you can go fuck yourself. Yes, I know Nightcrawler is Mystique's baby, so shut up. I know that. But originally she became a dude and knocked up a chick, so technically she's Nightcrawler's dad. So suck it. If you don't believe me, look this stuff up, but that was considered too controversial, so they changed it, Nightcrawler's origin story. But that was what happened first, so go suck a dick. I have personally not read the Days of Future Past arc. I kind of wish I had now, but to see how much they changed it. But, there's going to be a lot of differences. There's sometimes differences are good, sometimes they're terrible. One good example is The Shining. I love The Shining as a movie. It doesn't mean I don't not like the book. I love the book as well. But I definitely could see where Stanley Kubrick was versus Stephen King. But this movie has had amalgamated so much nerd jokes and things into it. Like, there were things that only really hardcore nerds were gonna get. I also like the fact that that JFK was supposedly a mutant. And I could see it. I'm not gonna lie. I could believe that JFK was a mutant. His ability, charm, speak. That would not surprise me. Yeah. It's trippy. It's awesome. Anyways, what do I rate this movie? I give it a 7.5 out of a 10. Not the best X-Men movie, but definitely higher than Origins and 3. Though I'm much more 3 I can tolerate. 3 was a decent movie. I know everyone gives it hate, but that movie had balls at least. It had balls, and it freaking eviscerated Charles Xavier, and you pissed your pants because if you were like, you bastards, how dare you kill Charles? That actually shows how much investment you have in the series. Is when they can kill a character and you are really, really violently upset. But I digress. Origin sucks all the way through. I mean, look what they did. They neutered Deadpool. They gave him weird powers. They freaking made Wolverine have the most obnoxious screams. And yeah, it was cool to see the bone claws. Ooh, speaking of bone claws, this movie, Wolverine has nothing but bone claws, pretty much. Which I didn't know how to feel about. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, 7.5 out of 10. Definitely a good movie. Worth a watch. Definitely worth. Well, I took it out. I went on a budget night, so yeah. Being physically responsible, bitches. um, yeah. I should write a rap song about being physically responsible and paying one's taxes. One of the best lines in a kid's cartoon is there's a Batman episode where the Joker's like, I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but I'm not crazy enough to take on the IRS. What do you think I am? A lunatic or something to that effect. Oh, it was so cool though. It's really hot down here. Like, it's been really humid the last few days, so I'm taking my coat off. But man, was this a good movie. Definitely liked it. So, y'all can have your opinions. This is Jroad signing out. Licensed by Jacket Radio. Peace to my home.